Hi, friends. Welcome back to Live with Roxy with my brother, Jet Stryer. A lot going on in the world today that we can break down. Some stories that really made me go, easy. I made the emoji face. I almost got next to every single story that we were talking about today because Letitia Wright is doing some bizarro anti-vaxxer shit. So we can break that down. That's why Letitia Wright and Black Panther 2 were both trending. HBO Max is going to be receiving the entire Warner Bros. 2021 slate. So it's going straight to HBO Max for all of 2021, and we need to break that down. Plus, at the end of the episode, I will be talking Mandalorian Chapter 14. If you give any spoilers in the chat before that, you will be kicked out of the show forever. Forever, ever. Remember, those are our rules. Don't be a fucking dick. That's pretty much the only rule of the show, is not to be a dick. Hi, Jet. How are you doing today?
I am good. I am very much in favor of that rule because I have not seen it yet. So please don't spoil it in the chat.
Yeah, we'll be bouncing out early because first we'll do a spoiler-free review, then we'll do a spoiler-filled review and all of that stuff. So please just keep it till the end. We will get there, and we will get there soon because I have to wrap at 12:45 Eastern time so I can get to Only Stupid Answers with DJ Wooldridge. If you guys are not watching that right now, you should be. Go support him on his Patreon. It's a Patreon exclusive show, and it is badass. And we're talking about some pretty fucking funny and bizarro topics today, so you don't want to miss it. In terms of things going on here, of course, Brett Hankinson, Miles Cosgrove, Jonathan Magney, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor, all three of them for killing Breonna Taylor. Who knew we had to put that asterisk in there, but apparently we do. Also, if you guys have any support that you want to show, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. I know some of you guys are already doing that, so I appreciate that. And right here in the super chat, if you have questions, comments, concerns, things you want read out loud, that's exactly what you do with them. So thank you for those in advance who have been putting those in. Let's get to a couple of those to kick off the show, and then we will talk about our anti-vaccine queen. All right. Texas teacher in here. Texas teacher. We love Texas teacher says, still clean and sober. Yes. And I decided to swing for the fences and put in an audition tape for Movie Trivia Schmodown. Damn. I even dropped your name, but I didn't dare cut a promo against you or any rock star. I just couldn't bring myself to say any unkind things about you. Thank you, Texas teacher. And just for anybody who doesn't know, right now, Movie Trivia Schmodown is doing an open casting call for anybody interested. I believe Christian Harloff tweeted out the link or the rules, the guidelines. If you want to audition to be part of the show, then he tells you exactly how to do it. He says he received over 70 auditions this morning. He just posted it yesterday, so that's pretty awesome. But Texas teacher, I'm pulling for you. He also says, besides that, I will be away for a bit as I will be recording sound on that LGBT animated show along with giving finals. And then I'm going off into the woods to work on myself and decompress and be away from everything. I honestly don't know how I'd make it through the pandemic without you and the Rockstar support to help me stay clean. I honestly feel that I'd be dead right now if I didn't have your support. Thank you very much, and I'll never be able to repay that debt. Much love. Texas teacher, we're always going to be here for you. We appreciate you more than you know. You're such a great part of this community. Thank you for letting us in on your journey. And also, I don't think you even know the amount of lives that you've affected on this show and the people that you've changed their lives about this. So I know that you think we've saved your life, but you don't know whose lives you possibly have saved. So thank you for telling us. Enjoy your trip to the woods. Have a lot of fun. And we'll be here when you get back. A lot of people in the chat saying how proud they are of you. Speaking of the chat right now, I see my dear friend Mark Ellis in the house. Mark Ellis says, Jet, if y'all get bored, tell the Drew Bledsoe/Tom Brady just sling it story, one of my faves. Jet, what is this in reference to?
I actually don't know.
No way. Well,
I really don't know.
Just out Boston sports of Boston.
He may have, yeah. I don't know off the top of my head.
What's the just sling it story? I don't know. It sounds like somehow, some way, Jet doesn't know what he's talking about. Ooh,
I may not. I'm a total fraud, I guess.
It feels like this is probably part of the what is it? The 30 for 30, you pick 6, Brady Doc.
The Brady 6.
Brady 6. There we go. Thanks. What I call it? You pick 6?
I think you call it the pick 6.
I don't know what I
wouldn't be a good name for a documentary about a quarterback.
I don't know what I'm saying about anything anymore. I have been going to bed at like 7 in the fucking morning every day and then waking the hell up. Okay, Mark says, oh, it's the best. Mark, how come we've been friends for all these years and you haven't told it to me then? Do you even care about me? Fabulous question.
I like Mark's picture with him throwing the popcorn.
Yeah, it's a badass picture. I think it was taken in the same series that he's got some with his dog Molly in it too. I've seen these pictures before. I'm doing my investigative research on this one. It was like Mark heard me talk about the open casting call for Movie Trivia Schmodown, and then he like appeared. He was like, "It's me, Mark Ellis." All right. Oh, Bledsoe told Brady. This is from Proud Libtard. What an amazing name. Bledsoe told Brady to just swing it, and Brady took off after that. Wait, that's what Bledsoe's advice to Brady was? You don't know it?
You asking me?
Are you even here? Who the fuck else am I talking to?
Proud Liptard.
Mark says Brady's first Super Bowl, right before the game-winning drive, the coaches tell Tom to be safe. Drew then pulls him aside and says, "Fuck that, just sling it." Oh, damn.
That Super Bowl, actually, there's a great call from John Madden, who, when the Patriots got the ball back and the game was tied in the first Super Bowl, John Madden said, the smart thing to do here is just play for overtime. Like, don't do anything. Like, just run the ball, run out the clock, go to overtime. And the Patriots drove down the field. Adam Vinatieri kicked the game-winning field goal, and the rest is history.
I'm just wondering, are you feeling bad about the fact that you were just bested, so you just, like, wanted to show that you had some knowledge in the area?
A little this, a little that.
So you said it was the best call? Isn't that a shitty call of Madden then?
I said it's a great call just because it's so interesting that was the philosophy that he had versus the
But it was
Patriots
a dumb
philosophy.
call. It was a great dumb call.
Yeah. It can be a great dumb call.
Interesting. All right. I believe you if you say so, because you are the sports expert who just clearly.
Do you like my headband today?
Oh, is that what's going on? I thought it was your headphones that were up further.
No, headband.
Yeah, I enjoy what you've got happening there. I don't know that Grammy would like it though.
Probably not, but there's very few things I do that she likes in terms of like facially.
Me too. Grammy commented on a picture of me, Dorina, and Steph and said I by far and away had the ugliest face.
Yes, she did say that.
In all fairness, it was an ugly face competition, but
big facts.
Yeah, and then I posted this video yesterday on my Instagram. I don't know if you saw it, of me being stoned out of my gore with Steph, and Grammy wrote some fucking not understandable caption on it that I literally was like, what the fuck is she even talking about?
Your Instagram stories were lit yesterday because I was in 2 of them.
No, this was an Instagram story. This was actual Instagram. Let's see. What did she write? She said, don't think all. So I posted this video of me. Did you see this? Of me on the couch. I was really, really high and I'm just like making.
No.
Okay. So I'm really, really high and I'm trying to eat a burger. The whole thing. I just was very stoned. The reason I was so stoned was because Steph and I started a TikTok together and we were going to try to do all of these like weed TikToks. For our first one, Steph does not partake on camera, so I do. So for our first one, we were doing these thing called bong facts, which is when I would take a bong rip and then she would walk onto screen and she would say whatever the fact was. And then we filmed like 8 of these. So I had taken bong rip after bong rip after bong rip, and I was just like trashed, like just so high. And we posted our first one, and TikTok was like, we don't actually allow you to post anything smoking weed, and they took it down. So we can't use it. But what we could use was me actually being stoned. So she had taken BTS video of me just sitting there like talking about being on Earth 52, whatever it is. So I posted it, and Grammy responded to it and said, don't think I'll make any TikTok comments except to say that you are missed. What?
No TikTok comments, but you are missed.
No TikTok comments. Bye to our friend Mark Ellis if you've already left us. We're happy to have you here. He finishes with Go Washington Football Team. It is so weird.
I kind of hope they keep that name forever.
Really?
Yeah, it's just funny.
Yeah, it is funny, but...
And also, I guarantee you, teams are so conservative with their names, anything they come up with is going to be lame. Like, they won't come up with a cool name.
Well, what would be a cool name?
Not. It's gonna end up being like the Washington like Generals or like the Washington
What's a
like
barrel?
General.
Oh.
Or like the
Okay.
or like the Washington like cannons or something militaristic. It'll be generic and boring like most names in professional sports.
All right.
They'll probably name it after like a big cat or a bird or something like that too.
If you say so, I believe you. Let's go into the Streamlabs again, streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Glenn Caesar hooking it up today like he always does because he's the best. He says, hello and good afternoon, Roxy and Jet. As always, thanks for taking the time to hang out with us. I hope you and the Rockstars all have a love and laughter-filled rest of your day, week, month, and year. Peace, love, bunnies, and hugs to you both and all of the Rockstars. Remember, everyone, you're kind, you're smart, you're important, you are worthy. Again, I know it may be tough, but even if we're by ourselves, we're not alone. The Rockstars, the World Friend communities will be there for you today and every day. Hashtag smash cancer. Smets is kicking ass right now, guys. I talk to him every day, and he's doing really well. So thank you for always saying smash cancer, Glenn. He also says, and as always, thank you, RJ Jet, and all of you Rockstars for being such an awesome, open-minded, supportive group of friends. Congrats on maintaining your sobriety and a new gig, Texas teacher. Way to go. Enjoy your time away, decompressing. Yes, I am with you, Glenn, and I hope Texas teacher does enjoy his time away. It's so funny because you don't know like our cast of regulars, Jet. So you just don't even
I'm starting to learn some of them because Texas teacher was the judge
who do you know?
Texas teacher was the judge for LB, who is Julia in a play. Mm-hmm. I know Glenn, obviously. I know Jake and Glenn. And Brittany.
Oh, God. Jake, yes. Glenn, no. Brandy's her name.
Brandy.
Brandy, you're a fine girl.
So,
moderator, you would be.
Those are the two moderators,
no,
right?
There's more. Thank you to Matthew Gold. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Stryer. Jet, your trash
tip. What's the tip? You get a tip?
That's how they support me.
So when I come on the show, what percentage do I make of the show that I'm on?
None.
9%. Okay.
None. And
9.
Also,
yes.
You don't have to be here if you do not want to.
I really want to be here because I enjoy it. It also gives me a reason to wake up and not sleep till 3.
That's a good point. I feel very good about that. Although I do feel like you will probably nap right after this.
Yeah, I think I'm going to Mighty's right after this. I'm excited.
Mighty's, holy shit, that exists still?
Yeah, dog.
You gonna get a big sub?
Best sub place in Massachusetts.
Right.
Maybe the world. Maybe the entire world.
No, I always preferred Bob's. All right, let's move forward.
No, Bob's changed ownership, and their subs have gotten me sick a few times.
I haven't even been there. I wouldn't even know how to get there anymore. Moving forward, let's talk about some stuff going on. I was going to talk about dead naming on the show because, Jet, you had brought this up yesterday, but I am honestly nervous to talk about it on air because—
You want me to talk about it?
That's what I'm nervous about.
Oh, you're nervous that I'm going to say something?
Yeah.
I'm an icon in the trans community.
See, like, that comment is horrific, and I need you to not say things like that.
Why?
Because what the fuck do you mean?
I'm beloved by all.
So I will just I'll take a second to explain what we're talking about here, and then we can move on to our next topic. But this is a big deal going on in the movie Trivia Schmodown as well, and so it's all over the nerd community. I think it's worth talking about. We know that recently Elliot Page transitioned to become Elliot Page and is now their pronouns are he, they. So that means that he, him, or they, them are the appropriate pronouns to call actor Elliot Page. This started a whole I don't even want to call it a debate because obviously there's one side that's more clearly right on this one, but this started a whole conversation about what is called dead naming, which in the trans community is when you call somebody by their former name, the name that they had prior to transitioning, which is at that point considered a dead name. Now, I did a ton of research on this yesterday because I was not as familiar with the concept. And the reason that it's called dead naming is because when that trans person dies, what goes on their gravestone is often their former name, the name that they don't want to have anymore, the identity that they don't identify with because their family was not accepting of their new identity. So it's called dead naming because literally when they die, that's the name that is put often on their headstone or gravestone. So it came up in the Schmodown because people were talking about in the Facebook group, if you are asked a question about an Elliot Page movie and you give the name of, or you give Elliot Page's former name as an answer, should that count as a correct answer? And the people in the movie trivia Schmodown community who are trans, all like from what I saw, all of the people who spoke up who are trans or are part of the LGBTQIA community came into the movie trivia Schmodown page and said, absolutely not. It's not a correct answer. That is not who that person is. That person has worked hard to not be that. It's very insulting and can be incredibly dangerous to dead name, and those names should not be accepted. From what I heard from that group, I didn't hear Christian say this, but they said that Christian believes that dead naming should not be allowed as well. And again, this is a concept I think that is pretty new. I am a very liberal, living in Los Angeles girl in my 20s who has a lot of queer and trans friends. And this is something I had never heard the term dead naming until this week. So I know that this is very new for a lot of people, but for me, I'm willing to play by anybody's rules who are creating them from their own community. Like if my trans friends tell me that dead naming is hurtful and mean and dangerous and disrespectful, then I'm going to not do that. So I feel like the community gets to make the rules. That's kind of how I always play things. But I also feel like there are going to be situations in which people don't know. Like the Elliot Page transition is so talked about because Elliot Page is such a massive performer. There are other times that people transition that aren't as large of performers that don't have the same notoriety. So it's going to be interesting to see what might happen there. Jet, I will give you the floor briefly. Fingers crossed that my white cis brother does a good job here.
You're white cis too. You're white cis CIS and white cis SIS. You're okay, white cis two ways. I think that it's important to say that it's not a universally recognized negative connotation by every member of the trans community, because I was doing research on it too, because I was interested. I'd never heard of it before. And that there's actually different guidelines from GLAAD and there's versus some members of the trans community as to how to handle dead naming. There's other names for it as well. I would say that obviously whatever the person in question wants to be referred to, if they're offended by you saying, well, Elliot Page was Ellen Page, then that's their right. And you should be respectful of that. But I don't think that you can take something and say, I have to universally apply this, because I don't think every trans person agrees with that. I actually was reading that some trans people think that calling it dead naming in it of itself is offensive because it's implying that there's some sort of death. I know, like you were saying, that it actually means it literally the tombstone change, but I think that the term in and of itself is implying that when you're transitioning that there's some sort of death, whereas they look at it, from what I was reading again, as more of a rebirth, and that no one's ever, they're more themselves. No one's died, that they're more themselves than ever. So if I wanted to weigh in on the Schmodown thing, I think it would be okay, because Ellen Page was the credited name on those projects.
But no longer, because IMDb is already switched over, and IMDb is the official database for the Schmodown.
Okay, I could see that. but if you had a copy of Juno on disc, right, it would say it would correct. And if
Yeah,
you look
and
at
that's what a lot of people in the group were saying. But
or
I
the
feel
film
like,
credits, right? If you watch the movie right now,
right, that's what a lot of people in the group were saying. However, I do feel like as long as the rules are clear, and thank you to Glenn Caesar in here who said that Christian said on SEN Live that Elliot's dead name is an incorrect answer going forward. So that is what it is. He controls the league, so whatever it is that he wants.
right?
Um, I think that this is not that challenging of a request. So what I try to do is just listen to people and think, is it easier for me to just say, great, you are now Elliot Page. That doesn't affect my life negatively in any fucking way. I'm just going to call you Elliot Page because that's the respectful, right thing to do because that's your name. Or is it easier for me to be like, rah, 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 I'm not going to remember that name. How could I remember that name? That's not what the credit said. Da, da, da. Like, I just think that it's super duper new for a lot of us, but also incredibly easy. And people are making a massive deal of something that should take us about 1 second.
I agree with you that it's the right thing to do. Certainly, it's the right thing to do. I will say that I do think because it is a new thing for a lot of people, that there does need to be some level of understanding and patience if you screw it up. Because like I want to call him Elliot Page every time, but for the last 10, 15 years, I've only known him as Ellen Page. So I will screw that up, not on purpose. It just, it's a brain slip or a brain fart, something like that. So I think that there needs to be there's an adjustment period.
To not.
I am like I've corrected myself, I think already 2 or 3 times.
I know, but I'm just saying maybe challenge yourself to not. Like maybe, we are very easy on ourselves sometimes. Like, well, I'm just going to mess this up sometimes, so I'm just going to mess it up. How about maybe we try not to, and we'll see how that goes. Like,
I'm saying I am trying not to, but right now, especially at the beginning, if I screw it up, it's not because I'm trying to be hateful or trying to be offensive.
I don't think anybody's saying that. I just think we're already making excuses for something when we should, instead of making excuses, we should spend that time trying to drill it in our brain and just like try harder not to fuck it up. So I hear you. And I thought that this was an interesting point of conversation, especially in regards to the Schmodown. The one thing that I'm sure of is everybody in this community is in full support of Elliot Page. So that's what's really important and matters. So yeah, there's that. Thank you guys for joining us in the chat right now. A lot of you guys have strong opinions about this and I love looking at them. Rob says Jet is right. Pink Sweet says, oh, well, don't do that. LOL. That's kind of what I said. Prince that wasn't promised says I call my son the wrong name daily. Yeah, but a lot of people, Prince that wasn't promised, were talking about how that's not the same comparison because that's not actually offensive or harmful to your son.
Well, let me give you.
That's my new favorite person. Glenn says it was a collaborative decision between Skybound Christian and Ellis. Makes a lot of sense. Amblin Soul says we appreciate you having this kind of discussion. Thank you guys. All right, we do need to move on.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Do so. What?
I had a quick story.
I got to move on, Jet. Sorry.
It's fine. No, it's fine. That's fine. That's what I say. Go ahead.
Oh. Okay. Thank you for giving me the permission to go ahead. You're wild sometimes. Let's talk a little bit about another controversial issue that took place yesterday. One that is challenging to talk about, and I also have to tread lightly here, and I'd love to know your guys' thoughts in the Streamlabs and in the super chat, is Letitia Wright, who was doing some anti-vaxxer things. This was kind of wild. So if you missed this story, Letitia Wright on Twitter tweeted out the link of a video of a guy who was on air for an hour and 15 minutes saying some pretty anti-vaxxer shit. I watched 45 minutes of this video before I had to call it, and it was really quite intense. She has since untweeted the video, and that means that she somehow in some way has some kind of feelings about the fact that she tweeted it. And instead, her tweet says, if you don't conform to popular opinions but ask questions and think for yourself, you get canceled, with the laughing face. So then she also wrote, only 4 hours ago, my intention was not to hurt anyone. My only intention of posting that video was it raised my concerns and what the vaccine contains and what we're putting in our bodies, nothing else. So this was, talk about being dangerous. She tweeted a video to her 367,000 followers that essentially is a guy who says that his dad used to be somebody who vaccinated people. So he comes from a family of science, and he is questioning whether or not we should take this vaccine. And he personally will not be taking the vaccine, and talks about how he doesn't take vaccines because he doesn't believe it's good. Then at some point he says it's because he's scared of actual needles and whatnot. Jet, what did you make of this story? This isn't the first time we've heard somebody in nerddom. I believe Evangeline Lilly was the last person to be talking about being an anti-vaxxer, and that was only a couple of months ago. How do you feel about Letitia Wright after this? Does this affect your viewing experience of her? Do you feel like she should be allowed to just keep on keeping on after tweeting something like this? What are your thoughts?
It definitely affects my opinion, and I understand why you'd want to tread lightly here, but I'm not going to tread lightly. I think if you're an anti-vaxxer, you're a fucking idiot, period. That I have absolutely no patience for anybody who's an anti-vaxxer. I think it's one of the dumbest things going.
She did not say she was an anti-vaxxer.
No, but I saw some of her comments too. She's like, there's like an ingredient that you use in testing called like luciferidone. And she's like, interesting that the name is Lucifer. Like, no. I have no patience for anybody who's going to promoting conspiracy theories or anything anti-vaccine. I'll say, I think you're a fucking idiot if that's the case. It's so dangerous. It's so bad. It's so based on nothing scientific at all. It really infuriates me to no end. When I see Jenny McCarthy on The Masked Singer every week, it actively makes me angry. She's like the person who led. She's one of the like OG anti-vaxxer.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, and also you guys are correct that there was some transphobic stuff in the video as well.
Yeah, and that person has a history, I think, of transphobia as well, and homophobia, I believe.
For me to watch and get through, I was like, this feels like a waste of my life, and I don't want to be watching this, but I don't like reporting on things that I don't know about, which is why I convinced myself to watch as much of it as I possibly could. Here is one point that I will give, one counter argument that I will give, that was brought to me via Twitter by Jay Washington, who's not only a dear friend of mine, but friend of the show. Anybody who doesn't know Jay, he is a major player in the nerd space. He is Black, he is bold, and he speaks his mind. And when he saw this Letitia Wright stuff, what he tweeted out, which I thought was very fascinating, was, he said, Black people are right to be cautious and skeptical of new vaccines, especially when they want us in our communities to test it first. That is very true. That this is, I don't even want to use trend lightly, but this is a trend in throughout history where the people testing our medications and our vaccines and the people dying for this. And keep in mind, it was only this year that people thought that it was all Black people who should be tested for the COVID-19 vaccine. I believe that was somewhere in France or what, I forget what country it was that only wanted to test Black people for this. But it is true that there is more reason to be skeptical and be cautious if you are Black. I agree with that. If Letitia Wright had put out a tweet that was like, I don't know, I'm a little bit afraid of the vaccine and I would like to have a conversation with some doctors and scientists about it. I want to feel assured that this is a safe vaccine, even though it was rushed, something along those lines, it would be a different story. But what she did was post an hour and 15-minute long video from somebody else destroying this vaccine and saying not to take it, which is really dangerous. I've said this on the show many times. The second the vaccine is available to me, I'm going to take it. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. I am more afraid of what COVID will do to me than what the vaccine could possibly do to me. And if Fauci says that I can take it, if our doctors and our scientists say that I can take it, then damn right I'm taking it. I'm doing my part for this country to not spread this virus, as hundreds of thousands of people in this country alone are dying because of this. So I'm with you, Jet, that I don't have much tolerance. But I will say that I don't know what it's like to be part of a community who are the test subjects of something over and over and over again, and their people are dying for being test subjects.
Yeah, I see that point, and I absolutely, I guess I can't really understand it because I'm not from that community, but I could understand where they're coming from, being like, you don't want to be the guinea pig for any sort of scientific experiment or anything like that. And historically, not just the Black community, but minority communities have been the guinea pig for it, more so than any community is the Native American community in this country. That being said, like I said, I have absolutely no tolerance for anti-vax people. The only people that I have maybe less tolerance for are the flat Earth people. I just, if you're anti-science, I don't want anything to do with you. I'm not going to promote you. I'm not going to agree with you. I'm going to just call it like it is, which I think is you're being a fucking idiot. So I was upset to see that because I really like Letitia Wright. I think she's a wonderful actress. I don't think this will end up affecting her career because it doesn't seem to affect people when they come out as anti-vax in the celebrity space thus far. So I would guess not. The thing that I thought was interesting, as just a side note to it, was I saw she was liking a lot of the tweets that said you should quit Black Panther too.
I don't know what that was. I don't know.
That was weird.
It was bizarre. I saw that too at first because it was just one. I was like, oh, maybe she slipped, but no, I don't know what that's about. I think we'll probably hear more about that in the future. But let's see what you guys are talking about right now. Legoland says, but this is going to everyone. Like, I'm confused by that fear. I must be missing something. Pink Sweet says you can be cautious. You can say I'm a wait for Fauci. You can say I'm a wait for a while. You do not post and spread misinformation to your 400,000 followers. Esoc says there is zero reason to be skeptical. Jet, please say something. Well, he did, and I'm sure you're glad that he did. Jarrett says Jet is way too close-minded on this one. When we put food in our bodies, we shouldn't do it blindly. When we take meds, we don't do it blindly. People need to be smart, but not paranoid, says Bruce Banner. It sounds like you guys have a lot of opinions on this as well, and I'd love to hear more. If you are watching this after the fact, leave your thoughts in the comments. What do you think? Was Letitia Wright way off base here, or do you think she has every right to be paranoid about this? And what do you think should happen with her in her acting career if she is an anti-vaxxer? Same thing with Evangeline Lilly and Jenny McCarthy and the rest of them. Let's get into the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/OxyStrider. LD123 in the house says, hey, coach and brother.
I know that person.
I know. Hey, coach and brother. I'll be watching this later today, but I'm hoping to get some advice. I've noticed that the kisses between Romeo and I on stage are becoming more and more intense as we go on. Has this happened to you? Advice? What do I do? I don't think there's anything really to do. Hopefully that's a good thing because Romeo and Juliet are very passionate about each other. And I think that's probably great and exactly why you want to like build that up and instead of like possibly destroy it by making moves outside. Jet, what do you think?
Yeah, if it works on stage and it looks good, that's great. If it's making you uncomfortable though, then it's an issue.
Yeah, I absolutely. I don't think that's what you were saying, LD, but if it is, let me know. LD also said, last night I put Jay, you're gonna like this one, a finger up my butt, and I really enjoyed that. Is that normal? I was always told that it was evil and a huge no. When I actually have a partner, is that something to explore? Advice? Thanks. Sorry, Jet, for the next questions. No worries, LD. This is my show. You're allowed to ask whatever you want, and Jet has to just chill here for it. Absolutely. Everything that feels good for you is normal. Anything that feels good for you is normal. Everybody has different preferences. I think that it's all about like learning your own body and figuring out what you like. Not everybody's going to like the same things, but the fact that you like that means that it's normal and normal for you. And there's tons of other people who do as well. Jet, what are your thoughts?
I feel really bad that someone told you that's evil. That sucks.
Yeah, that fucking sucks. That's I'm sorry to say it like this. That's some Christian bullshit. Like, yeah. No.
Well, it could just be religious bullshit. You don't necessarily know that's Christian bullshit. Sounds like Christian bullshit, but
I believe LD said that she was Christian, but you're right. It definitely could just be religious bullshit because that's the kind of stuff that they make up to.
There's no such thing in sexuality that is evil in terms of if it's something that you are doing to yourself.
Consensual, yeah.
As long as it's consensual. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Yes. Then it's not. There's nothing evil.
It's so pure. I know it really, really is.
I have a very angelic face.
Do you?
Mom in a diary entry really like my lips.
I can't. We don't have time for that. What we do have time for is to talk about some less controversial things. I don't actually know that this is less controversial. Warner Brothers, they're releasing their entire 2021 slate on HBO Max. This is something that is taking place and the internet exploded about this. I wasn't as shocked to hear this as the internet was. It kind of was interesting that they're all doing this in one lump sum and not per movie that's taking place now. But when you first heard this, Jet, what did you think? Do you think this was a smart move? Do you think this is a silly move? Were there any of the movies, and I can talk about those right now, Tom and Jerry, Godzilla versus Kong, Mortal Kombat, The Conjuring, In the Heights, Space Jam, Suicide Squad, Dune, and Matrix 4, any of those movies that you think will do particularly well or particularly poorly? How are you feeling?
I think most of them will do well, actually. And the slate is a very impressive slate. Like, I want to see most of those movies. Not necessarily Tom and Jerry, but my initial thought was, fuck, that really kills movie theaters. That is could be a death knell to movie theaters. And I am someone that loves going to the movies. I go all the time, pre-pandemic, obviously. I haven't been since the pandemic. Don't worry, people, I'm not spreading COVID around going to movie theaters. Seeing the Croods too. That's my biggest concern with this, is that I think it could end up killing movie theaters, and that would be really, really bummed to see that happening. Now, the convenience part of it is great, and the fact that I have HBO Max and I'm not going to have to be paying for all these movies, that's nice on my wallet. But at the same time, I think that it may cause a lot of harm, in terms of that's a lot of jobs that movie theaters throughout the country are responsible for. And if everything's just going to be released straight on demand, you're killing a whole industry, which means you're killing a lot of jobs. So I think in a lot of ways, not just for my personal satisfaction of enjoying going to the movies, but in terms of the jobs it's going to get rid of, I think that's a really dangerous thing to do. So I hope Warner Brothers, they said it's a 1-year strategy. I hope it's a 1-year strategy. I hope not a lot of people follow suit, because I do want to see movie theaters survive, and I want to see people get their jobs back. So that's really my biggest takeaway from it, is the effect it'll have on movie theaters.
I think a couple of things to counter that. It is 1 year. It is 1 year.
That's what they're saying.
I just let you soliloquy. It's 1 year, and this is their 2021 slate. Things are always subject to change, as we've seen. Dates have moved around 1,000 times. But what I really liked was this tweet from a friend of the community, Drew McQueenie, who said, what this really means is that Warner's is the first studio to genuinely lock in their 2021 slate. I believe they'll make those dates now. I have zero faith in anyone else holding firm at this point. What I think is, as a business move, Warner Brothers thought to themselves, what do we do to make sure our movies air? A lot of their movies have ties to one another. What happened with Wonder Woman affects the rest of their entire DC slate. We all know that. A lot of these are big box office franchise, possibly sequel movies. Tom and Jerry, we don't know what could happen after that. Godzilla versus Kong, we don't know what happens after that. Mortal Kombat, we don't know what happens after that. Conjuring, part of a big universe. Suicide Squad, obviously, a lot of things are contingent on that. Dune is supposed to be a massive moneymaker for them. The Matrix 4, will this spin off of Matrix 5 as well? So a lot of things are on hold when they are on hold. So I think that they decided that this is their 1-year plan. 1 year is a long time, but we're also expected to a lot of us are not expected to get a vaccine until summertime here. So really what they're saying is talking about 6 additional months. I don't believe movie theaters are going to be open for another 6 months. I really do not believe. So they're talking about 6 months of their movies that could have gone into theaters that won't. It also doesn't mean that they are not going to go into theaters. Wonder Woman is going to theaters and to HBO Max. And I hear you. It sucks about the movie theaters. A lot of this sucks, but Warner Brothers did not cause the pandemic. Warner Brothers is not contributing to the pandemic. Warner Brothers is trying to keep people safe and also trying to keep their business alive. And I think it might be a smart business move on their part. I'm hoping that all is well with theaters. I do believe that theaters will bounce back and tenfold. I think people are going to be so excited to be able to go back to the theaters. I'm not surprised other people are not following suit on this one, because it got a lot of backlash. But I didn't think this was the worst idea in the world, even though all of my nerd friends were kind of taking a dump on it. That's how I feel.
I do think that there is a possibility that Warner Brothers gets absolutely killed here and takes a complete bath, because, you know what I mean, that's a lot of money to try to recoup by, they're not as of now, they're not charging a premium to get the movies like Disney did with Mulan when it first came out. So I don't know how they're going to, it'll obviously help the HBO Max numbers. Like, those will go way up, but I don't know that it'll be enough to be able to recoup the budget for Wonder Woman plus a Dune plus a Suicide Squad. All of those are over $150 million budgeted movies, I believe. So, I mean, you're looking at trying to make back a ton of money off of, how much is HBO Max per month? Like $10?
15.
15. I mean, so that's that's a big ask to get that many people to subscribe to the point where you're recouping all that money. So it may not be a good business decision. I'm not sure.
I agree. I didn't think it was a good business decision to put Wonder Woman on HBO Max, but they obviously know more about their business than I do. And if this is a flop, it's a flop, and it's a year of flops. I don't think that will mean that they'll go into 2022. We'll see what they end up doing. Glenn Caesar in the super chat says they are all going to theaters and Max the same day and only staying on Max for 31 days. Yeah, that's what they're saying right now. Again, I keep reminding you guys this, and I know you already know this, but everything is subject to change. We are in unprecedented time. We don't know what the fuck's going to happen. That's what they're saying. Now, we do not know. We just do not know. This could be longer. This could be shorter. Theaters could be completely closed. They could not be able to get in theaters. Like, we just don't know what happens because of this pandemic and because of this time period. So I think, save being really fucking pissed about things that deserve you to be really fucking pissed about. Garth Harkness McMurray in the Streamlabs, streamlabs.com/RoxyStryer said, I think that Jenny McCarthy should serve jail time for spreading anti-vax lies. People have died directly as a result of her campaign. Years ago, I posted a rant about her on my Facebook page and was shocked when Donnie Wahlberg commented on my post. Oh my God, no way. That's wild. I had no idea about Jenny. I don't know where I've been.
She, like I said, she's like queen anti-vaxxer. And I do like Donnie Wahlberg because he's a Boston guy and he's a huge Celtics fan. But his wife is problematic. And she is 100% has blood on her hands. People have died because of anti-vax stuff.
Thank you, Jake, for putting this in here. Streamlabs.com/RoxyStryer. We are going to be getting into the Mandalorian review. First, I'm going to do a non-spoiler. Then I'm going to do spoilers. Jet, would you like to stick around for my non-spoiler review? You don't need to have watched it. Anybody can hear it. Or would you like to dip out now?
I'll hear the non-spoiler.
Okay. Just very, very briefly, my non-spoiler review is that and again, if this is your first time hearing any of my reviews, know that I come at this from a very casual Star Wars perspective. I love the Star Wars movies. I've seen them all. I've seen them all many times. I love The Mandalorian. I do not know everything about everything. I am just a super duper casual Star Wars watcher. So as a casual Star Wars fan, I really loved this episode and I was shocked by that. I thought that after last week's episode, this was probably going to be a weak episode. Mandalorian sometimes seems to do that when they have big powerhouse episodes. The next episode either doesn't move the plot forward or doesn't do much in terms of character development. But this episode really slapped. It was awesome. And it was cool. It was cool to not be able to expect what was going on, which I really, really enjoyed. I'm loving Mandalorian. I'm loving the actual characters of Baby Yoda and Mandalorian more and more every single week, which is great. And I was surprised that they were willing to go there in this episode. So to me, this episode was not as strong as last week, just because last week to me was the best episode of the entire series. But this was up there in top 4 episode of this series ever. So it was also the shortest episode that they have done so far. And I have to say, when they know how long to tell their story, I don't really care that it's as short. I like short and sweet, and they fully told the story that they wanted to tell in this episode in the 32 minutes that they had, and I was here for that. So in general, this is definitely a big A for me. I loved it, and I hope that you guys did as well. Again, keep it non-spoiler in the chat right now before we get to spoilers. Jet, any non-spoiler questions for me?
You can't call him Baby Yoda anymore. He has a name.
Yeah, true. Grogu. That's not a spoiler.
Grogu.
Yeah. I'm not hating Grogu. Anyway, Jet, thank you for joining. I'm sure we'll be seeing you in the next couple of days or something on this show.
I'll be around. I'm always around.
Is that a threat?
Yes.
Oh, I still have this anti-vaxxer video up on my screen. Let me get the fuck rid of this right now. This guy.
Boo. Fuck that guy.
Background. I gotta say, he was kind of handsome, though. Sorry. It's not a helpful thing.
Oh, Jenny McCarthy is very pretty. It doesn't make you...
Not a helpful thing to say. All right. This is me stalling so that you guys can get the fuck out of here if you do not want spoilers. Get out of here if you do not want spoilers. Typically, I was doing these for my Patreon exclusives, but a lot of you guys have told me that times are really tough for you right now, and you'd rather me do other things on my Patreon exclusives. So I'm going to be doing spoiler reviews for Mandalorian Chapter 14 right now by the Jet Stryer. Go follow him on YouTube.com.
Bye, everybody.
Jet Stryer or at Jet Stryer, where he tweets all the things he's doing. We'll see you soon, Jet. Thanks for being here. All right, guys. I have warned you. You have been warned. If you are watching this now, we are getting into Mandalorian Chapter 14 spoilers. You can now officially start spoiling things in the chat. You have been warned. Get the fuck out. If you do not want things to be spoiled, I'm going to give you guys like 15 more seconds while I give some shout outs to people. Rob Fishbeck, Bruce Banner, Glenn Caesar, Mohammed Belsin, Redford Reddington, Esoc, Mark the Drifter, Andrew Thomas, Glenn Caesar, Legoland, Danny Ramirez, Jake Jacobetta, Manny Gonzalez, Lemmy Kill, Mr. Cinemagaria, all of you guys in here. Thank you, John Bainbridge, everybody for joining us. All right, let's do this shit. Streamlabs.com/Roxy Striar are right here in the chat. This episode was so fucking good. I was shocked. How good this episode was. I thought that we were not going to get Boba Fett for... everybody who tells me is like, well, they planted the seed. We don't even know if we're going to get a full episode or what it looks like. When I saw this was called The Tragedy, I figured that it did have to do with Grogu, but I didn't know exactly what, and I did not expect this. So much happened here. Gideon's scary as fuck. So even though I'm not at like Star Wars lore, again, casual fan, it's not as like meaningful to me. I just think that he is a scary ass performer, and watching him and Baby Yoda or Grogu interact, it's creepy and weird. Yeah, it was just wild. Danny Ramirez says, my takeaway from this episode is that I don't know any ships in the Star Wars universe. Totally. I was reading what people were saying, and they're like, this ship came in, and that's from this thing, and this thing. And I was just like, I don't fucking know, but they look cool. Glenn Caesar says, all I can say about this episode is fuck. I know. Rob Fishback says, Boba Fett fucking slays. How badass is he? Like, I've heard people over the years be like, Boba Fett, favorite character is Boba Fett. And I'm like, really? And then this episode, I was like, oh my God. This is like epic shit. And I love the trade that they made, and I love that that's the impetus for what we're going to do moving forward. I thought that was really smart, because it's like, how do we get Boba Fett on our side when he wants something so different? But like, we know what Mandalorian's priorities are. It's very, very clear. And I love that they confirmed about Boba Fett being Mandalorian. Like, I loved all of those things. I loved watching how no matter what, the Mandalorian could not get to Grogu as he was on this stone, and how helpless he must have felt. And the fact that I could feel that even through all of his armor, I thought that was really freaking cool. Matthew Gold said Boba Fett was awesome in this episode. I could not agree more. He was just so badass. Glenn Caesar says, it made me stop watching the show at 3 a.m. I was not emotionally ready to see what I was at that time of night. Damn, yeah, I waited till this morning to watch for that exact reason. Rob says, as a casual fan, I'm still learning, but this is the best thing Star Wars have ever done, in my opinion. Wow, that's amazing. Thunder God says, not gonna lie, giggled at Boba rocking a dad bod with his armor on, LOL, but he's still kicking ass. Yeah, you just like, sometimes you just look like that and you're badass. Like, it's not about being the most cut person in the room. Like, if I was with him, I would be scared shitless. It was just like, he's gonna fucking shoot shit up in the sky and blow up ships and fuck with people and do his thing. And I believed every single second of it. So, and I love that this just wasn't a standalone episode. We didn't go back to episode 1, 2, or 3 that were more like setup and whatever. This was like fucking moving forward after the best episode of The Mandalorian last week. So that was pretty phenomenal. That ending was a great cliffhanger to anticipate next episode, but I wonder if it is going to be next episode. I'm excited to see Bill Burr back on the show if that's what's happening here. I love Bill Burr, Boston forever. And I think that his character on the show is like bizarro and badass, and I love that Boston is somewhere in space. I think that that's great. But it will be cool. I think next week a lot of people are predicting it's going to be a jail breakout episode. I was glad that Gina Carano's character actually is going to help the Mandalorian, even though she's like, I have to live by this law. And then he's like, it's about the kid. And it's like, oh my God, well, what's she going to do? And I think a jail breakout episode is exactly what we need next week. That seems really, really fun. Mark Jason Ollie says, doesn't that mean Boba has to be in the next few episodes? Possibly. What do we have left? 2 episodes, I think. So I don't even know that there are a few episodes, but I think we only have 2. So yeah, Glenn says, and now we need a strap up and roll out for getting Grogu back, aka regulators mount up. Redford Reddington says, the journey is the story, so every episode is storytelling. That's totally true, but I just mean like progressing the story forward, because sometimes it's more stagnant and not a lot of forward moving, which I'm fine with. I just like the episodes that move us better. Danny Ramirez says, Bill Burr coming back is great. I love that a Boston accent is canon in Star Wars. Me too. That makes me so happy. I can't even possibly explain it. So to me, this was one of the greatest episodes again. So 2 weeks in a row, having these episodes that fucking slap like this. So good. What more could I ask for, especially during this badassly not badass time where everything is fucking trash? I'm just so happy that Mandalorian can put a smile on all of our faces. Rob Fishbeck says, I bet that's when a Jedi pops into the show when they rescue Grogu. It is possible. It is possible. Who are you thinking? Curious. Yeah, let me know. Matthew Gold says 2 more. That's so little. We have so much story to still be told, but that's why we go into season 3, and Disney seems to know what the fuck they're doing with this show, and I am here for it. Anyway, keep it spoiler free in the comments if you're watching this after the fact. We don't want any comments living on the page with spoils for people, because spoiling Mandalorian is such a shitty thing to do, or anything is a shitty thing to do. Much love to you guys all. We are going to get out of here so I can go over and do Only Stupid Answers with DJ Wooldridge. Today we're talking about wild stuff. There's crazy things going on in the world of Big Brother and The Bachelorette. And I knew I was it looks like it went away. Hopefully I'm back. I don't know why it went black and then circled. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Anyway, I'm getting out of here anyway. So stay safe, stay sane, make your beds, do your best to reach out to your loved ones. It's a weird ass fucking time. Enjoy every second of The Mandalorian that we get. I love you guys a lot. I will be back here tomorrow live at the Roxy. Not exactly sure what time yet, but probably around 1 p.m. Pacific. 1 p.m. Eastern, something like that. Okay, you guys can hear me. Great. Have the best day. Be good to one another. Make your beds, toilet seats, all that great stuff. Much love, and I will talk to you soon.